Howdy, howdy, y'all. It's Tuesday. It's time for another Some Antics. Today, I am joined by Alex Riviere. Alex, how's it going?
It's going great.
I'm super, super stoked for that enthusiasm. I'm super stoked to have you on. I was recently on your stream. I showed you around 11D. We did horrible things there. And now you're here, and we get to bring the horrible, terrible things into our space. So super, super glad to have you here. Alex Trost, thank you so much for resubscribing. Alex says, semantics is a pun, and I was the first to figure it out. Yeah, you totally were. There's a great clip of Toast realizing it live on his stream. Like a great clip of that. Alex, go ahead and put that link in the chat. And allow folks to enjoy. Kahana Sushi is saying, Alex, I really love your unicorn horn and ears. There's something very, very magical about this horn, which is any one of you can run the unicorn command and change Alex's horn.
We have a few different settings on there, so it'll just sort of rotate through them. It's all CSS animations up in my horn, so there we go.
So y'all mess with this horn. I spy a raid from Jason Langsdorff. How's it going, Boot Crew? I really enjoyed what I was able to watch from today's stream.
Yeah.
Y'all were so. If you haven't been watching one with Jason today, they were writing music with code. It was incredible. It was just fantastic. Yeah. So, anyways, Alex, super happy to have you on. Would you like to introduce yourself for folks who haven't seen you around yet?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Alex, not to be confused with other Alex, and I am over on twitch.tv/Fimian. You can find me on Twitter at Fimian. I'm on GitHub at Fimian. I do a lot of things. I am a co-host of the Enjoy the View podcast. I run the Atlanta Vue.js meetup. I help co-organize the PyATL meetup. So I sort of got my fingers in a lot of different things. And yeah, check me out. You can also find my blog at alex.party. So it's always a party over at alex.party.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that alex.party link in the chat. I think so. One of the reasons actually that I wanted to have you on is because you've been streaming this project that you've been working on, which is a GeoCities inspired web components library. Could you talk about that for a bit?
So my whole aesthetic is that I am very bad at can you have a link to buy the unicorn stuff? Maybe. I will try and see if I can find a link for it. But I tend to make really bad design choices because I'm not good at design, so I just lean into it. And I remember growing up, I remember GeoCities and the joy that it brought, that you could just like throw something up and it would just work. But there was also like this weird feeling of like having to wait for it to all download, right? So like I've started making a series of web components where it's really designed to help you relive that experience. The images load slowly and there's tacky backgrounds and like there's fonts and there's just all sorts of stuff, right? It's pretty fun stuff. But what it's really good for is that it's all web components. And so we can kind of sprinkle it in, and we can also make it accessible so that everybody can enjoy the terribleness that is happening on the page. So like if we have a background element, because used to be in HTML, like old HTML, HTML3, you would be able to like specify a background attribute. And so I've made something where you can just be like background and it'll make it have this background. And we've added in like some tags to give it some alt text so that, like if you're on a screen reader, you're like, this thing has a really bad background, and you're able to like get that information. So yeah.
So when I was getting into web development, I I took a class that touched on it a bit in college and such. One of the things I was always taught was there's this very firm separation between content and presentation. I think many web developers will have heard that before, right? Like you've got your content, but then you can put like any coat of paint you want on it. And kind of the like ultimate representation of that, and maybe I'll just start sharing my screen here so that we can see this, was the CSS Zen Garden project, which takes the same markup and applies different coats of paint to it, and such. The modern like spiritual successor of that is Stephanie Eccles' Style Sage, which I love. But the reason I bring this up is I don't think content and presentation are that separable. I think semantics is important, but sometimes the fact that you are presenting something in an intentionally terrible way, reminiscent of the GeoCities era, that itself is part of the content. Like it's not separable from the rest of the experience. And so how do you bring that to, for instance, folks that are using assistive technology such as screen readers? And how do you do it in a way that is like it harkens back to some of our worst practices without forcing people to endure things like animations that perhaps they're would be harmful to them, right? How do you harken back to the days of old without reproducing those ills? So I found your Geo Elements project just absolutely a fun thought experiment in that regard.
Yeah. Well, and also just sort of like taking these old elements that are deprecated in the HTML spec and updating them, right? So there used to be a font element. So why don't we make a new font element? But when you put in a font, if it doesn't exist on the system, just go ahead and just go ahead and make a link to the Google font for it, right? Like so you want to use a Google font? Great, just put in the name of the Google font. It'll work, right? Like, boom, done. So yeah, that is I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun way to be like, okay, cool. How do we take this thing that existed and make it better? Let's add something to it.
Yes.
Sort of, yeah. So
is Geo Elements anywhere I could link to or show off?
Not really. It's still all like there's a GitHub for it, I think. Give me a second. Let me find that link. GitHub.com.
In the meantime, yeah, so we're having Alex on. Go follow Alex on Twitter. And yeah, so web components in general.
Web components.
Yeah, so you're building Geo Elements with web components.
Yes.
What are they, and how do they differ from other approaches to building the web?
So web components, well, technically they're not web components. They're not called web components. If you're actually looking for the thing and you search web components, you're going to get a bunch of people call it web components, much in the same way as we call it CSS variables. That's not what they're called. It's not their technical name. Their technical name is custom elements. And this is very important because if you start trying to type in like window.web component, it doesn't work. So when we talk about web components, we're talking about custom elements. And some of this is that like with the sort of componentization of frameworks where you have like Vue and React and all of this stuff, there was a big push to be like, hey, can we get something kind of like this native, right? And so custom elements came from there. There have been other proposals before where you had like HTML imports. I never got to work with those, so I can't speak about them very much. And you had like some other things were like sort of halfway baked. And custom elements aren't perfect, right? Like the API, as you'll see as we're doing stuff, it's very verbose. You have to do a lot of work. And so people have sort of built frameworks around custom elements to make it easier to do them. We're not going to be using any of those today. But so with the custom element, the idea is that you can encapsulate all of the stuff that you want to do in a component, and none of the styles bleed in, and all of the styles that you do inside of it don't bleed out. So it's really just sort of like this, it's this, and then don't touch anything else. Just do the thing in here. Now, that isn't totally true. There is some stuff that bleeds in, there is some stuff that bleeds out. So we're going to have some fun and play with that today.
And so what is it we're doing with custom elements today?
So what we're doing with custom elements today, there was an article over on CSS Tricks the other day called Use Rainbow. And I worked on this a little bit. Yes, this is the elusive shadow DOM that we are going to be discussing today. So this article about Use Rainbow is Rafat, I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Rafal? I don't know. He made this little React hook that allows him to basically have like this scrollable thing that his background of his site changes as you scroll down the page. It's over on potato.horse. And he made this beautiful write-up about it where it's talking about different ways of, having color. So like you have RGB color, but then you also have HSL. And so for this, we're going to be using HSL color, which is hue, saturation, and lightness, level lightness, something like that. But so you change the degree of the hue and it changes the color. So you can have one number change and the whole color changes. And so as you scroll down this page, it will change the background color.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm gonna do that real quick. Just fair motion warning. I don't know if it's really motion, but there is a very large chunk of yellow that is going to start turning other colors, and if that's dizzying for you, first of all, unfortunately, this might not be the stream for you in general, because I think we're going to be reproducing some of this, but also just heads up, that is happening now. So as I scroll through, it's turning green.
yeah.
It's blue now. Purple, pink. Yeah, so as I'm scrolling through, I'm trying to do this fairly slowly. It's changing color in real time.
Yeah. And so I like things like this. And he wrote it as a React hook and sort of put up the code for it and talks about how it's all done. So it's this code here. This is the magic that makes it happen. It's a scroll listener, and then he does some math to do this. So we will be using this code in our web component. This will be sort of the key to our code. Now, the thing that will be different here is that the way he does it, he's applying a background color to the body itself. And so we're going to change this because this is a web component. This is a custom element. We want this color to be a little bit more flexible. We want to be able to use it for other purposes. So we're going to create a custom element called use-rainbow. All custom elements have to have 2 words at minimum. They have to have a hyphen in them. And so we're going to call it use-rainbow. And ultimately what it'll do is that inside of use-rainbow, you will be able to use a CSS custom property, CSS variable called use-rainbow, and it will be the color that you are currently on. But that means that because we're giving the color, you can apply it to border, you can apply it to the background, you could apply it to the text, you could apply it to whatever you want to. So this will give us a nice sort of like way of like managing this and saying, okay, cool, put this element in. It'll now allow you to use this color wherever you want to.
Okay. And that hyphen requirement that you mentioned, that's basically to distinguish custom elements from like actual native elements, and basically also allow the spec to grow with more native elements without worrying about has anyone implemented a custom element with the same name. By saying all custom elements have a hyphen, you protect that like core namespace there.
Yeah, exactly. It is. You want to make sure that we don't have conflict in the future. So they were thinking ahead about that when they're like, I really don't want to give up a bunch of people doing weird things and making an accordion thing. And then like suddenly now we can't have an accordion or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. We have a brand new code pen, absolutely nothing in here. So how are we going to get started, Alex?
So first, let's start with, we'll make this real simple first. We're going to type in use-rainbow and then hit tab, and it should just autocomplete, give us a nice little like use rainbow tab tag. Great, cool. And then let's make like 5 divs with like if you do, div, and then actually undo that. So we'll do, and then inside of it, so we'll do immediate child selector, right? And then we'll do H2 with parentheses. And that's going to be, we'll make it be, actually, no, wait, back that up. I'm trying to remember Emmett off of the top of my head. We're going to do curly bracket. And that's going to be, I think we can do heading space dollar.
Like this?
Yeah, like that. And then we're going to do a plus sign after. So outside of the curly bracket, we'll do a plus sign.
Okay.
And then we will do parentheses P
Okay.
Child selector.
Like direct child?
Yeah, direct child. And then new parentheses, new open parentheses. And then we'll do lorem times 5.
Okay.
And then going outside of that, we'll do that times 3, I think.
All right. All this.
Yeah. So we're just, and I think if you hit tab, it should just give us a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh
Great.
my goodness. Okay.
Okay, cool. Great. We have a bunch of content now. Yay. Look at that.
Okay.
We have brilliant tons of content. This is amazing. All right. So we have auto-generated a bunch of content. This is just sort of whatever. It's not really useful or anything like that. So now that we have all this content, that gives us stuff to scroll and things to play with, styling wise. So now over in CSS land, let's just go ahead and say that divs are going to have a margin of like, what do you like? 32? What's your favorite number?
We'll do 32. 32 pixels.
32 pixels? Great, cool. Works great. We'll do that. We'll do yeah, there we go. And then we'll have H2s will be like, I don't know. What do you think? We're not going to get into fonts. We're not going to pick fancy fonts today, I don't think.
No fonts today. I'm just going to do a sans serif then.
Okay, cool. I mean, we can always make a Comic Sans. I'm not against making a Comic Sans.
We've got you here. We can't not.
I think it's Comic Sans space MS because
MS.
it's actually.
There we go.
That. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. And then everything else, I think we're good. I think we're good with everything else. We have content now. We've sort of spaced it out a little bit.
Okay.
So now we're going to sort of jump into JavaScript world. This is where things get fun.
So
we can go ahead and
to collapse these, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to just take the JavaScript tab and just like slide it all the way up and it'll collapse the other ones automatically. Cool. All right, so we're going to live in JavaScript land. So let's make a helper function really fast. First, we're going to make const or function, whatever you want to call it, CE for create element.
Okay.
And you're just going to like take your args from it. So ... args, and then you're going to return a call to document dot create element and spread your args into that. This is a helper function for working with web components because in web component land, this is how you have to do things. You have to create elements and then add other elements to those elements. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. Maybe not so much of that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, cool. So we have our helper function. Let's now make a new class. So Ben, have you worked with classes much in JavaScript?
A little, especially in React, I've had to do some classes prior to hooks taking over.
Cool.
So,
all right. Yeah. So we're going to make a class. This is how you sort of define, and yeah, you can kind of spread that out. We're going to be looking at code for a little bit, so the preview is not quite as important here. We're going to make a new class. We'll call it use rainbow to keep it consistent. You can name the class whatever you want to. We name it like custom element use rainbow. We could, you know, whatever. The name of the class itself is not so important, but for, you know, readability for other people who come along and see your code later, it's probably better to call it use rainbow. And then you're going to extend HTML element. So HTML element, great. And then we should be able to curly bracket. And then we're going to have a constructor.
And so for folks who, I guess, are we just scaffolding this out and then we'll kind of talk about
Yeah, we're going to scaffold this out so to get like the bare minimum that we need to be able to make this work. And so in constructor, you always call super first thing. And then once we call super, we will go and we will actually instantiate this custom element. So the fun thing about custom elements is that with React, with Vue, with jQuery, right? You always have this event where like, all right, we are waiting for the page to finish loading so that we can start doing things, right? Or like with React, it's like you have to create your application and mount it to an element. And like in Vue, you know, it's like same thing. You're creating an app, mounting it to an element. So you're always waiting for that event to happen. And so like everything has to load and then do a thing. With custom elements, you tell the browser like, hey, I'm making a custom element. It's called this. And then the browser figures it out, right? So we're not going to have to wait for like on document load. We're not going to have to like try to like create an application and pick the thing that we want to mount it to. No. So outside of the class, down at the bottom of your JavaScript file here, this is how we actually instantiate the custom element. This is how we make it so that the browser knows that it exists. There is a thing called the custom element registry on the window, and it is actually found at window.customelement. Triple checking that that is correct, because every time that I have to do this, it is, custom elements with an S.
Okay.
Plural, because it is the registry. It is the full registry. All of them live on here. It has methods like has, right? So you can like check to see if one exists already. You can remove them if they exist, whatever. And we're going to use .define. So this is how you define one so that the browser knows that it exists. And we're going to call it, the first parameter is the name of the tag that we're going to use. So in this case, it's going to be use rainbow. And then the next argument that you have to include is the class that we've just made, so use rainbow. Now there is a third one where you can say, hey, this is extending this type of element. So for instance, you could say, like if you were wanting to extend the image element, we could do that. We don't need that. That is an optional parameter.
Okay.
And yeah, so there we go. Ta-da! We now have a custom element that is registered. And yay, it's working. Nothing happened because it's doing exactly what it's supposed to. So this is where we get into now to do the thing that we want in order to make styles not necessarily escape. We need to create the shadow DOM. Dun, dun, dun.
Spooky.
Ooh,
I should have brought you in for like the Halloween stream. That would have been good.
That would have been good. We would have done spooky stuff with the shadow DOM. To start using shadow DOM inside of a custom element, we have to tell the custom element that we want to use shadow DOM.
Okay.
So the way that we do that is that you're going to go into your constructor after your super statement. Line 7, and you're gonna, nope, still need to call.
Yep.
And you're going to call this dot attach shadow. Ooh. And we're going to pass it an object. The object is going to have mode open.
Okay, and open is going to be lowercase?
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect. And what that does is that sort of gives us some ways to inspect things inside the shadow DOM as we're doing things. You can be either closed or open. Closed makes it like super hard to be able to do things. Open makes it a little bit easier. I don't know the exact differences. I just always make mine open. Makes things easier.
Is there a
So
reason that folks might use closed, like a performance thing or anything like that?
if you really don't want people like digging around inside of there and being able to mess with stuff, you could use
Okay.
closed. I think I would have to look up more. It's one of
Sure.
those things where I know that like you can do either one, and the general consensus is just make it open. It's a lot easier to deal with.
Sure. Sure.
So now that we've instantiated the shadow DOM, we've attached shadow, there is now a property available to us called this.shadow root.
Okay.
And as you'll see on our preview, everything has completely disappeared,
Yeah.
which this is the beauty and terror of the shadow DOM, is that it goes, oh, okay, cool. You don't want anything in here. So you control everything. So we now control everything, which is unfortunate because now we control everything. So we need to tell it, hey, display when you put content inside of this element, we need to display that. So we need to. So the way that we do this is that we're going to create a new element, and it's called a slot.
Okay.
So let's make a function call. We're going to define a new property on our class of use rainbow. So inside the constructor, you're just going to do this.slot.
Okay.
Equals CE, and then quote slot.
Got it. Okay.
So we now have a slot element, and now we need to add it to our shadow root. So we're going to do this dot shadow root dot append.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're dealing with the DOM here. It's shadow DOM, right? So we have to treat it like DOM, and then we're going to append this dot slot.
Okay.
And now it should. Oh no. I don't know why it's not working. Ben, this is awful. Okay.
No.
Am I doing that wrong? Shouldn't be.
Return document.create element art.
Mhm.
Travis in the chat. First of all, Travis, thank you for resubscribing. 5 months. Super, super, super kind of you. Travis goes, favorite words on live streams. Oh no.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's console log what is going on with this dot slot, because I feel like I have made a boo-boo somewhere.
Console.log, and I'm gonna call this slot this dot slot. All right. Then let's peek at the console. Is there? I mean, it's just inspect, right? Like normal. Yeah. For some reason, Chrome is chugging on. You know how streams get. Okay. Okay. So we do have an object. Oh, how would you go back to elements? Thank you. Okay. Okay. That is just a string.
Interesting.
And here. Where actually do we get to? Is there a chance that this could be CodePen protecting us here?
Shouldn't be. Let's try. Let's try append child. I like that suggestion. Building. Who said that? Lindsay. Lindsay, thank you. Yes. Let's try append child. I think we're gonna get the same result though. Oh no! Wait.
It flashed for a bit. We're getting an error. Failed to execute append child on node. Parameter 1 is not of type node.
Okay.
What? Okay.
We've angered the. All right.
Is there a chance? What if? Does it have to be this dot slot? Can I do like?
Let's try. Yeah, let's do let slot. We're gonna need it to be bound to something on the object at some point, because.
Oh, Oh, okay. I wonder if slot is like a protected keyword or something like that, like
It
a
might
protected
be.
property name. Okay.
I feel like that could be it.
All right.
Yes. So this dot attach shadow does return something. So like if you're wanting to work locally with it, you could get the shadow root from attach shadow, but it also attaches it at this dot shadow root. So you always have that available to you. I haven't figured, once again, this is where we get into I haven't fully figured out all of the nuance of this and whether or
Yeah.
not it's going to be a thing.
By the way, like I am seeing that slot here is getting logged out as an empty string and not an
So
element.
clearly we should not call it this dot slot.
Oh,
We
here.
should call it this dot slot element. And I bet
Yeah.
that'll let us.
I got it. Okay, yeah, we should also console log the thing that we're actually console logging.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
That helps.
Yeah.
I bet slot is like one of those things where like it automatically casts to string or something.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see about this. Slot element. And then just kind of reuse this on the next few lines.
Love it.
And here. Let's see if that does what we hope.
Boom.
Okay. So this is what we've learned today, is that this dot slot is a protected keyword of a custom element class.
Yep. So what's great about this is that we have now created sort of like a way of like encapsulating some stuff. And any styles that we make inside of this element will stay inside of this element, which means that we also get some extra CSS selectors that we don't typically have.
Okay.
And the one that we're going to be using today more specifically is :host. And so we're still going to do this all in JavaScript land. We're going to make another element, and it is going to be, we'll do this dot style element.
Okay, that's in here. Equals create element, and this is a style tag, I'm guessing?
Yep, and it is a style tag. Exactly. And so we're going to use that, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to set the text content of our style element. And for the time being, we're going to set it to an arbitrary value so that we can kind of make sure that it's doing the thing that it's supposed to. So we're going to use, star. We're going to do
Okay.
:host.
:host.
Yeah.
Oh, my emoji keyboard is intercepting that. That's great. Thanks. Come on, Rocket. We're shutting down Rocket. Amazing.
Perfect timing on that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead and actually use tildes for not tilde, backticks for
backticks, yep.
Okay, so :host.
Cool. So that's our selector. So this selects the host element. This would be the element that is use-rainbow. So it's selecting that element. And we're going to apply styles to that specifically.
Got it. And so this is the custom element equivalent of using :root, right?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, we are selecting sort of the root element of the shadow DOM. And so that allows us to apply things, and it'll apply it to everything.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and we'll say color equals red for now. And then we can append child to the shadow root, our style element.
Turns out it is, in fact, important to actually add things to the page.
Yes.
Dot append this dot style element.
Cool.
And next time it loads, things are red.
Yay, look at that. All right, so let's inspect the DOM really fast. Let's bring up our dev tools and inspect the DOM, because I want to sort of show off what's happening here because there's some weird stuff happening. So if we look, we see that we have body and then we have use rainbow, right? Which is sort of the thing that we were building. And then inside of that, we have like a bunch of divs that we made. And then we have the shadow root. So if we look in our shadow root, you can see inside of the shadow root, we have a slot and a style. So the style is going to apply to everything inside of there. But it also, in theory, won't bleed out. Now, the reason why the color is bleeding out is because colors inherit from parents, I believe, by default.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way that works. So that is the CSS cascade happening in full effect. So we're going to leverage this cascade by defining some CSS variables, which will then be available to us inside of that slot.
Okay.
So let's make a new method on our class because this is something that's going to get updated repeatedly. And we're going to make a method, we'll call it update style. And it's going to just update this dot style element dot text content. And yeah, we'll just copy that in for now. And so when we want to update style, we're going to do it in here.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that we're going to be making a window listener to listen for scroll events. And so every time that the scroll event happens, we're going to update a number. And then we're going to say update the style. So use that number, right?
All right. Yeah.
So now, since we're in this update style thing, let's make 4 CSS properties. Okay. We're going to have use dash rainbow dash hue.
Look at me seeing where you were going with this.
Yep.
All right.
And we'll set it to 0 degrees. We'll just start there.
So I need to say DEG, right?
I think for hue, you can set it to a number.
That's
It
right.
defaults to degrees. So we'll see how that works.
Okay.
And then we're going to do saturation. We're going to do light. And then we're going to have use rainbow, which will combine all 3 of those.
Okay.
And this will give us sort of a way to allow people to kind of use whichever value that they want. Yeah.
So, if you're unfamiliar with HSL, Alex described it earlier, but it's got 3 values to it. It's hue, saturation, and lightness. The idea is, you know, RGB, red, green, blue, not very human intuitive, right? Like, it's great for working with LEDs, great for working with pixels, but not all that great to reason about. And so HSL converts things into hue, which is roughly where on the color line a particular color falls. There's saturation, which is like how vibrant is this color, and then lightness is how close is it to white or black. And so this tends to be a more intuitive, like natural way for us to think about color. Also easier to operate on for things like this, where we're actively going through the color spectrum.
Yep.
I think I've done this right.
I think so. Yeah. So now we should be able to like inspect the heading, and it should have available to it if we look in the inspector. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe
Oh, I think it might be in the slot. We need to open up the shadow root, open up the slot, reveal the div. Wait,
oh, it's not showing up. It's not oh, because we haven't called updates.
okay.
Style.
Yeah.
So instead of setting the style element dot text content there in the constructor, let's create the style element and then immediately call update style.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll create this. We'll call this dot update style.
Yep.
Yes.
And then it will append itself to the thing. Cool. All right.
Now we inspect.
Great. Now we inspect, and we should have those variables available to us. So
Yes.
if we look at that heading, you can see from host, we have the hue, the saturation, and the lightness available. Great. So now that we have those available to us, we can use them sort of anywhere in there that we want to. So we can get rid of that color red. We'll get rid of that for now. And let's go up to our first heading. Okay.
In the HTML?
In the HTML. So we're going to go back into HTML land really quick. We're going to go up to that heading, and we're just going to do an inline style right there. We're just going to do style equals color var dash dash use rainbow.
And this should make it red.
And this should make it, it'll probably be black at the moment still, because I think we've got everything set to 0.
Yeah, lightness is 0. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that tracks.
Cool. So next thing that we're going to do, we're going to make some attributes for use rainbow.
Okay.
So the key to making attributes is that we need to update when the attributes update, and we need to so that's the main thing. We need to update when the attributes update.
Yeah.
So we're going to create some new properties as well. We're going to create 3 new properties. We're going to create this dot hue offset.
Are we doing this in the constructor?
In the constructor, yep.
Okay.
You always create new properties in the constructor for anybody
right.
who's wondering, because otherwise JavaScript gets very angry at you. It doesn't. Actually, it's very flexible, and it's poor form.
Okay.
So we'll make hue offset. We'll make saturation and lightness.
This dot saturation and this dot lightness.
And so hue offset will start at 0. And saturation will start at 50. Yes, 50. And lightness will be 100. Great. And now we're going to go into update style. And where we have those numbers there, we're going to, we're going to use exactly.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Awesome. I love it.
This dot saturation and this dot lightness.
Yeah. All right, making good time. All right. So now, nope. I think actually they need to have, so for the rainbow saturation and rainbow lightness, you need to put a % after that, after you insert that variable, because I think that they accept percentages.
Okay. And then
maybe not.
Let's see. And then this was did this need the DEG?
It may need to be degrees, yeah.
Let's inspect. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, let's see what's going on. What's going on?
Undefined. Oh, okay.
Oh, because we needed to find those earlier than when we call.
Oh, you know what? That helps. That helps. Turns out.
So, you have to define things before you use them. So
just gonna stick this up here. Okay. That's delightful.
Yep.
Amazing. And I think because lightness is 1, it's all showing up as white. But all right. We've already made our first terrible color decision.
Yes. All right. Yeah, this is where I forget how HSL works. Does the lightness have to be 50 and the saturation has to be 100?
I think that's how it has to be. Yeah.
Okay, so let's flip those around, because I want it to be the correct default, but I couldn't remember what the correct default is.
There we go.
Hey, there we go. So now we're back at our red text again. So now we have this variable that we can use. So we need to actually hook these three values up to attributes. So there's a couple of things that we need to do. First, we need to make a static getter for the class.
Okay. That is
So you're going to type
like...
in static space get, and it is, hold on, I have a note over here, static get observed attributes.
And this is a magic name.
This is a magic name that is specifically for custom elements, and you are going to return an array of strings for attribute names.
Okay.
So it's going to be, we'll just do hue, saturation, and lightness, right?
Oh, okay.
Make it easy.
So, all right.
Magic. All right. So now that we've defined it, now that we've defined that we have attributes that we want to update when they get updated, we're going to, give me a second. I have to remember where it goes. This is where we there is another magic method that we use. This is, once again, magic to custom elements. It is called attribute changed callback. So that is the name of the method. It's not a static. It is a actual method. And it takes in three values. It takes in name, which is the name of the attribute that is changed. It takes in the old value, and it takes in the new value.
Previous value.
Previous
new
and
value.
New value. And then what we can do is we will, sorry, I'm doing math in my head. We'll go ahead and we will say, all right, let's, based on the name, if the name is hue, then this dot hue offset equals new value.
Okay, this dot hue offset equals new value.
Yep. And then, yeah,
Also,
basically.
Name is saturation.
Yeah.
And I know that there's like more succinct ways we could express this with like switch statements and stuff like that, but this is fine in my book. New value. And then in here, else if name is lightness, this dot lightness equals new value. So
Perfect.
We're saying, hey, we want you to watch for hue, saturation, and lightness. And by attributes, we're referring to like these are going to be HTML attributes that like we put on our use rainbow element up top, right?
Yeah, so we can go ahead and we can test this. Let's make a hue attribute on our use rainbow, and we will set it to 90, right? We'll offset our angle by 90 degrees. And so now,
I think we need to add the hue somewhere, right? Like add it to our offset here.
You're right. And then we need to, at the end of our changed attribute function, outside of all the if statements, we need to call this dot update style.
This update style. Okay. So where's the best place to add the, it's just already there. Okay. So
there you go.
And I can go to like 240 and that's going to be like a blue, I think. Or maybe that brings us back into like, yeah, it is blue.
So there we go. So now we have this adjustable rainbow, use rainbow variable that's a color. And we have sort of all of the pieces of this we need.
Yeah.
So the last thing that we need to do is we're going to have, there's two more magic methods that we're going to deal with.
Okay.
One is going to be called connected callback.
Okay.
And this is equivalent to like mounted in Vue, or like, what is it, component did mount or whatever in React, like whatever it is, where basically it's saying, okay, cool. it is now on the page. What do you need to do?
Got it. Okay.
And so with this one, this is where we're going to put our magic
This is where we're putting our scroll listener, I'm guessing.
there we go. Thank you. That's the word I was
Cool.
looking for.
So just to make sure that I've got this whole flow just kind of all set up. We first of all, we've told our component here, hey, you could receive, like, your HTML element as it exists in the page could receive a hue attribute, a saturation attribute, and a lightness attribute. Anytime any of those changes, we want you to rerun this logic. This is very akin to re-rendering a component when the props change in React. And we're saying, hey, based on specifically which attribute it was that changed, we want you to update a particular value, and then we update our styles. Our styles are always listening for those three properties as they exist on the class. We're updating the style, we're updating this variable, and now what we're doing is we're saying, hey, we're going to add an event listener to the page that listens for scroll so that we can change the attributes, these attributes up here specifically, and therefore trigger this whole re-render process in a way, without needing anything like a virtual DOM or anything like that.
So what we're actually going to do is that inside of our scroll listener, we're going to make a new property. It's going to be called scroll position.
Okay.
And we'll start it at 0.
I'm just going to stick that up here. This dot scroll position equals 0. Okay.
And then we'll go back into our update style and we'll do this dot hue offset plus this dot scroll position. And in the original code for our window listener, it's basing it off of the, like, it adds it to the body and it does all this stuff. We're just going to update one value and then call update styles, and update styles is going to update our style block.
Okay.
And so let's go into connected callback. Let's go back over to our use rainbow article, and we're just going to borrow the code from use rainbow because it's there, and I don't feel like trying to remember how it all works.
Okay.
So yeah, everything's sort of inside of there. We're going to refactor it a little bit because we're going to need to, like, make the callback, the scroll handler is going to be a method, and then we're going to need to, like, do it in a couple of different ways. So yeah, everything inside of CB, we're going to take that out.
Oh, everything in here we're taking out?
Yep, we're just going to take all that, and we can get rid of that. And
I think we just removed everything.
Yeah, we leave the event listener for now, because, and then so let's make a new method. We'll make a new method, and it's going to be called scroll handler, right?
Okay. So
because that's ultimately what we need. We need a scroll handler. So we'll make scroll handler, and it's going to be we're going to take the contents of CB and put it in scroll handler.
Okay. That's all this stuff.
Yeah. And then we're gonna just put it in there.
Okay.
Bing. And then the last part is that we're going to set from to 0.
Where is
so const from, he has it starting at 51. We're going to set it to 0. And then this is the magic equation that does all of the stuff.
Okay.
Ultimately, like, it makes it go from 0 to 360, and then once it goes to 361, it goes back to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of setting document .body .style / background color, we're going to set this .scroll offset to H.
All right.
And then we're going to get rid of that const CB callback. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to pass in this dot scroll handler into our add event listener. And we're going to also add a dot bind this. And the reason for that is that event listeners sometimes get the window rebound as this. So we're specifically saying don't.
Yeah. And I recently learned, this was actually like one of my first pull requests at the new job about passive true. Have you seen this before?
Yes, I have. It makes it not update, like you can't like block or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it's like event listeners tend to like block the main JavaScript thread here, and uh, basically what this does is this signals, hey, because our click handler, or I guess in this case scroll handler, because our event handler isn't preventing default, it is totally safe to offload this into like a side thread, like a sidecar thread, and therefore your listener isn't going to like block the main thread or anything like that. It'll all happen in the background, which is really nice. So if you don't do event.prevent default, then for event listeners such as scroll events, it's really important that you apply passive true.
Cool. Yeah, it's perfect for that. All right. So the last thing that we're going to do is that we're going to, oh, actually, the inside of scroll handler, once we set this dot scroll offset, we're going to call this dot update style. Because that's the key to all of this. We need to update this time.
All right.
And then the other thing that we're going to do, because I'm obnoxious and I insist on this stuff, we're almost done, is we're going to do disconnected callback as a method. This is another magic method. This is our cleanup phase. This is where we're going to tell it stop listening, and it will get rid of the scroll handler. So we can do window.remove event listener, I think.
All right. And that's going to be scroll and scroll handler.
Yep.
Dot bind this.
Sure. I don't know that we need to bind this on this one, but yes, it's.
Yeah, I think we can remove that.
I think so, because it's a reference to the function to make sure that it's pulling out the right one. I believe that is the correct call. Remove event listener. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So that's just our little cleanup, right? You always want to make sure that you clean up after yourself when you're doing stuff. So now we can go back into our CSS.
Yes.
And let's set on paragraphs. So P, we're going to set a border of 3 pixels, solid. No, ridged. We'll do ridged. I like ridged.
Okay.
Oh, it looks so much better with a ridge. And then var -- use rainbow.
All right. I'm here for it. Let it think of it. Maybe decide to refresh, perhaps.
Maybe. You can also click save up at the top of the middle.
Yeah. What's
going
on?
I don't know. Is ridged not right? Did I do that? We may have to do solid.
Let's try solid just to see.
Or did we break something else? We may have broken something else. Are there any console? Hey, look at that. So now as we scroll down, in theory, we've done this right.
Ooh, no.
No.
So let's see. I'm gonna.
Oh, I bet I know what it is.
What's up?
Attributes come in as strings. So we need to make sure that we need to turn all of those in when we set our attributes. We need to turn them all into numbers.
Up here at the top?
In the update attributes callback. Is it the attribute change callback? So instead of setting hue offset to new value, we want to do like parse int.
Oh, okay. It's the other way around.
Yeah, because it's coming in as a string. We need to turn it into a number.
Okay. We're going to get there. I believe in us. I'm just going to copy this.
This is not ideal. Don't do this in production, but I think it'll work for the moment.
All right. Ooh. Oh, okay. All right, all right, all right. And I'm still seeing blue.
Should have tested this beforehand. So let's inspect it, see what's going on, because I
Yeah.
feel like there's probably either a console error or something.
240, 150.
Okay.
And if actually, you know what? I probably should not pull that like off screen. Ooh, hello.
Yeah.
My Mac has decided to be incredibly laggy during the stream. But okay, so if I put these two windows side by side, it's debugging time.
It's debugging time.
All right.
Debugging CSS. Mouse.
So if I scroll this, we would expect some things to change here. Namely, we would expect this to change. Oh, I'm getting lots. I've got 25 errors. What's going on here?
What's going on?
Some of these could be historical, but probably. All right, what's the very latest errors? CV not defined. That's still accurate. I wonder. I bet. Oh, missing a parenthesis after an argument list. That'll probably be it, huh?
Maybe. What's that? Yeah, okay, so let's pop it back open. Let's look at our let's try refreshing.
Yeah. Save, refresh. We'll see if this does it.
And if not, this should work. I'm sorry that everybody that it's this is how things go with me.
This seems good. I don't think there's anything here. Let's see. Score braces here. Not very interesting. I wonder if I miscopied something into our scroll handler.
I don't think so. Scroll, passive, disconnected.
I'm gonna share this real quick. Oh, it's share. And oh really? Okay, copy. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and if we could get some folks with some eyes on this pen, see if they can figure out the issue for us, let us know. But we're gonna try to make this work. I think we can make this.
Yeah, everybody put some eyes on this. I feel like we're very close to making this happen. Maybe it's not connected callback. Maybe that's not the one that I want. What did you call it? You call it connected callback? Connected.
Yeah.
Callback.
Oh, is it connecting callback?
No, it's connected. That is correct.
And disconnected. It wouldn't be semicolons because those are largely optional in JavaScript land. All right, let's see. What I'm gonna do is console.log. We're gonna say, I'm just gonna put view offset, and scroll position. Inspect. Console.
It's going to be something silly, right? Like it's going to be something really...
Yeah. Okay, it is... Yeah, I don't think we're setting our scroll position ever. That's what it is.
Did we not? In the...
Oh, is it scroll? Oh, oh, this is scroll offset, isn't it? We want scroll position. That's it.
That's why.
We found it.
Yeah. I was like, we've written something wrong somewhere.
Okay.
It's all good.
Oh, that's satisfying. Oh, that's a win.
There we go.
All
Boom. Right. We have made our thing. Now, to make this accessible, last thing is that we would do, I would actually say for the border color, we want to set a transition on the border color in your RP, because if you scroll really quickly, it's going to flash. Yeah. And so we want to put like a 1 second transition on it. So it'll transition really slowly. And then that'll make it nice and smooth, but also it's not going to like flash and like really wig somebody out.
Is this it? Transition 1 second.
1 second border. Yeah, I think that'll work. That'll be fine. You may have to put an ease in there, but
Yeah.
so now as you scroll, it'll like slowly transition between colors.
Yeah. That's cool though. That is very cool. I wish
There we
I
go.
wish my computer were not so choppy right now, because I would love to be able to show just very smoothly how it's going. But it's been good, and I think there's other things you could maybe do. Like you could have like I might put the used rainbow stuff inside of like prefers reduced motion. I think would be a good call, so you don't even attempt to consume this unless
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would put it. I would put like the changing one in prefers reduced motion, and then I would define a default one that's based on the offset and the attributes, so that way you can say, okay, here's the fallback if you don't want it, and then
Yeah.
here's the regular, and that way you can have that. You could also have multiple style tags so that you could have like the moving style tag and then like the non-moving style tag,
Yeah.
and sort of work with it that way as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, it is getting late in our hour. We're a little over, so I want to make sure that you've got a chance to just kind of shout out some of the things that you're doing, what's going on in Alex's world. Y'all, we've had Alex going on, or we've had Alex on today. Alex, what are you up to? What should I send links to?
Yeah, just you can follow me on Twitter. Apparently I'm at 666 followers. Yes. And you can also follow me on Twitch. I'm over at Fimian. I have a podcast. If you're interested about JavaScript and Vue adjacent things, you can listen to enjoytheview.io. And if you're in the Atlanta area, when we start meeting again in person, you should come find us at the Atlanta Vue.js meetup and the PyATL meetup, which I don't have links to because they're on Meetup. If you're in Atlanta, or if you're passing through Atlanta and we're having an event, I would love to see you.
All right. I should have shared this view so much earlier. So much earlier.
This is my blog.
So good. So good. Alex, thank you so much for being here today. Y'all, thank you for being here and being in the chat and for debugging with us. Super appreciate it. I stream every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central. Lindsay does want to know what the font is on your blog.
I choose a different font every time. It's like Playground or something, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still figuring out specifics for next week's stream, or I may need to move some things around depending on some work stuff that's going on. But if you need, if you want updates, if you want to keep in touch with what Semantics is doing, follow Semantics on Twitter at SemanticsDev. Y'all, it's been so good being here. Stick around. We are going to find someone to raid. And thank you very much, y'all. Bye.